Yeah, forget it. Lauren, what's up? Christine and Rich and Amy, my friends. Ashley, what's up? Okay. Wow. Okay, just a minute here. We'll kick it off. Oh, yeah. Bucks County, what's going on, Kelly Lynn? Rachel, good to see you. Yep, glad we bumped into each other last week. Megan, good to see you. And Lori, and Cindy, and Debbie. Wow. The other platform has one person, and they left. Wow. Guess we'll stick with this one. Chrissy, good to see you, Sue. Thank you, Robin. Episode 52 of Where is Wolf? There we go. Well, anyway, okay, we got a couple folks on the other one. yeah. Decided to do another episode of Where is Wolf. Haven't done them since December. Right? It's been a while. So, episode 52, not there. Office has been shut down for a year. Basically, I've never seen him or his staff present for duty there. So, well, this one goes back a little bit. From a Doug fan. It's a nice Christmas card. So anyway, appreciate the thank yous and the encouragements. That's nice. It's fantastic. Nice note. That's fantastic. Thanks for taking the time to be a blessing and encouraging. Does mean a lot to us. Carol and Montco, thank you for this nice card. Very patriotic. Let's see what else we have here. Yes, we try to set aside these especially good notes. Christopher and Amanda, thank you from State Line. Appreciate that. Just down the road from us here. But that's that. So, yep, 52nd episode of Where is Wolf? Not there. As we listened to the speeches and the admonitions last year, all hands on deck, etc. Talk is cheap. Everybody's hands. Everyone should be in this situation together, working together to pull us forward. But we have not seen a lot of cooperation. That's a fact. It's not a political commentary. It's a simple fact. That's why we have 2 constitutional amendments coming up on the ballot May 18th. Regardless of party affiliation or none, independent, everyone can vote. Everyone can vote on May 18th for the constitutional amendment. And there's 3 questions on the ballots. The first 2 are constitutional amendments. First one limits the governor's powers from 90 days, when that happens, to 3 weeks. And do you want the governor to have emergency powers reduced from 90 days to 3 weeks? You decide. Does not go to the governor for signature. It goes to you, the people. We did our part in the General Assembly to put the power back in your hands where it belongs. And should a governor have 90 days of power with impunity, ruling by edict and fiat command, or should it be reduced to 3 weeks? That's number one. Your decision. The second question is then, okay, it doesn't do us any good if we reduce emergency powers if the governor can self-renew, as he does every 90 days without asking the people, without asking the General Assembly, without asking the House, just on a whim. Yes, I'll renew without any cooperation, without a plan for the future, without a reopen plan. I mean, and on and on. Nothing we're aware of. If you did, I'd be excited to be part of that as somebody trained in planning and strategy. And a year ago, we should have had a plan of moving ahead instead of navigating our way through an obstacle course with blindfolders on. Anyway, question number 2 is, should the governor not have power to rule by edict or fiat, but should the renewal of emergency orders and emergency powers, should it be renewed only at the advise and consent of the General Assembly, which it means the people you elect to represent you. And yes, senators, we represent a large section of the population, about 250,000. House members, about 50, 60,000. Okay. Distracted by an email on medical freedom legislation that we're moving forward. That's a good thing to be distracted by. So the first question is, should the governor's powers be reduced from 90 days to 3 weeks for emergency orders? And number 2 is, should the General Assembly have the final say on any renewal by a governor? And if you think that the General Assembly should have the power to, with a simple majority, weigh in and say, nope, we don't see a reopen plan. We don't. Where's your definitions of essential, not essential? Where's the advice and consent? Where's our input? And so, if you want to reduce the governor's powers to 3 weeks, that's question 1. And then question 2: should a General Assembly, should any renewal go back to the House and Senate for approval with a simple majority? It's pretty easy. And you've heard me over the past year. We've been together now for over a year. These firesides started this time last year. And back then, I was excited when we'd get over 100 live viewers. We're being oppressed and so pressed here. I mean, there was one feed that I think we're pushing about 10,000 live viewers. So please do share, especially on Facebook. Please do share this. I do appreciate it. So because people aren't getting notifications. C'est la vie, I guess. That's another piece of legislation I have coming out. The state can intervene and intercede on behalf of the people when their freedom of expression is being suppressed by giants out in the information world. And we looked at the legislation in some other states, and we have a couple of good bills coming out. I think you'll be happy with them. So anyway, thank you always for sharing. Bonnie says, okay, so if enough votes are passed in May, does it become law at that point? Yes, it does. It becomes law. I'll say instantly, rapidly, quickly, yes. There's been a lot of issues over the past year. We've gone over them and over them. Frustrations, the General Assembly being pushed out because of the emergency powers, that it was never realized over the past years that having a governor with such open-ended powers could be a dangerous thing. Trusting in the goodwill and good nature of people was nothing that our founding fathers really thought was a good idea. That's why we have 3 branches of government based off of a scripture that talks about, 3 cord is hard to be broken. And so this Trinitarian view of government is checks and balances. But emergency powers, there's a place for them in a weather event or a natural disaster or some kind of catastrophe that normally would not last more than a month or so. So anyway, so we've seen abuse of power here by the self-renewal, ridiculous and idiotic and lack of imagination on behalf of those who've gone before us to allow this to happen. So now you have the chance. And so this lame, I'm not going to vote again, I don't like how things went last year. So really capitulation and copping out is a path of action, a course of action for you? Absolutely not. You should. I would encourage you to redouble your efforts to be involved, in every legal constitutional approach. We are a constitutional republic, and short-term fixes are hard to come by. And this is pretty darn impressive that the House and Senate were able to move these 2 amendments rather quickly. Let's see, Senator Kim Ward introduced it, I think it was late last summer. I think it was last August or September, maybe August. And we did it through 2 sets. Normally, it's a 2-year process. We did it legally, completely by the book. But Normally it's 2-year process because these things drag out, but we're in a tough situation here. So we ran it before we went out of session properly and with all the proper sunshine and announcements last year. And then session ended on the 30th November at 11 p.m. And then we came back into session first week of January and it was done. And thankfully, our Secretary of State did not fail in her responsibilities and actually published these changes last fall. That's a must. So if you, the people, if we, the people, don't like what's being put out there, you have a chance to, vote out of office the reps and senators that are driving these constitutional changes. But I think the overwhelming majority of the people of this great Commonwealth see the utility and necessity of these 2 constitutional amendments. There's a third question on there, and really not much to talk about on that. The first 2 are the key ones here on limiting emergency powers beginning in May. The governor did renew a week or 2 ago the emergency order, so he's putting us over a month of 15 months under emergency shutdown. There are some slight openings and concessions that we saw released a couple days ago for the restaurant and tavern industries and bar industries, but industries probably not the right word, but businesses, sectors of the economy. But on a whim, thank you, Zach. On a whim, he could change his mind on that. And I will remind you that neither he nor the media ever released or got their hands on granular data. Remember this nonsense by Secretary Levine last year and Wolf last summer? Out of COVID season and out of flu season, out of cold season, when people should have been out, living healthy lives or being oppressed and driven inside, and not even being encouraged to have healthy eating habits or exercising or doing all the things that could set you up for success this flu season, which happens every year, by the way. Sorry, I got to shut this here. My staff is sending emails back and forth, and it's very distracting. See, there we go. All right, guys. Should be watching my live. Okay, we're out of email. Let's look at those notifications. Anyway. What do you think? I mean, it's up to you. You vote your conscience, but normally these spring voting opportunities are primaries, and you normally it's aligned by your party. And if you're not a registered Democrat or Republican, normally in the spring you have nothing to vote on, but you do have 3 ballot questions that everybody can vote on. So please get out and vote. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, so Jackie Ann's right too. Never heard one's fashion talk about taking vitamins, getting exercise, and enough sleep. Isn't that ironic? I mean, healthy habits, healthy lifestyle. So therefore, the assumption would be scientifically that if you have a healthy lifestyle, that if you're in decent shape, which I'm not right now, I'll try to get in shape this year. If you guys join me in this pledge, there was once a day, but it's not this day. But anyway, not eating right, not eating healthy, not taking vitamins, not exercising. Get outside, get the fresh air, instead stay home, stay calm, and stay safe. What a bunch of science denying stuff. And that anyone can get behind that. It just defies reason and logic. Thank you, my friends. I appreciate it. Well, so anyway, that's that. Thank you, Megan, for exercising your civic responsibility. I'll let you crack me up. We are thankful for you. Thank you for standing with us in this long, painful year, and so many people are still suffering. Schools that are still closed down. For what reason, we know not why, other than general fear. I don't know. You'll have to talk to the school board about that and the superintendents to get their justification. I would ask that it just be science-based. And there's a few things to consider. Everything's fact-based. we take things very seriously here, and because we might disagree on things doesn't make anyone on this side of the issue a denier of anything. And actually, the denying is on Governor Wolf's side, because when he was shutting down restaurants last summer and fall, he and Levine said there was granular data and they would provide it to media. It was never provided, and the media, once again, you stood aside and did not hold those in power accountable, other than those you hate politically. And this double standard needs to go. And so I was hopeful. A few of you asked questions in those quaint little cute press conferences, and Levine promised to give the granular data. The governor said they had the data. It did not exist. It did not exist. And then finally, studies were released, and 0.09% of all cases of COVID, 0.9% of all COVID cases may have, so less than 1% may have come out of a restaurant or a bar. So much for that granular data. And the data actually went against the shutdown. Tell people how to live healthy lives. Okay, say, hey, this is the way to safeguard yourself in this, unknown, uncertain, ambiguous, unclear environment. And here's our recommendations. Now, go forth and live your lives as free people, but obviously be responsible. As free people, freedom comes responsibility and consequences. And now we're finding out there's a lot of questions about the whole 6 feet rule. It was, based off of 1880s and 1890s science. It wasn't even based off of modern studies. So, look, I deal in the realm of facts. That's the world I operate in. I don't deal with conspiracy, in this edgy stuff that's not based in reason or logic. So that's why I often quote from John Adams. And I am happy to be proven wrong with facts, reason, and logic. Happy to. And so if something I say here is not scientifically or factually accurate, message and text me or email me with the information from reputable sources. The source has to consider the source, and I'll be happy to correct. And I would actually appreciate that. So that's that. So thank you. I can't remember what else we're going to talk about today. So we are in session today. Nothing earth-shattering. Nothing that will affect your taxes or increase regulation. That's a good thing. It's always a good thing when there's no big news out of Harrisburg, right? Shelly, good to see you. Shelly Thomas, great to see. Hoping vaccinations for COVID are not mandated for flying or work. So that's outside of the Commonwealth, I don't have much say as a state senator. But we do have the legal language now for the Medical Freedom Act. This is a superior piece of legislation. It is top notch. My staff and the team in Harrisburg has done a fantastic, excellent, superb job looking at every angle of medical freedom. You should have the final say what goes in your body. And anyone that wants to classify anyone that chooses what goes in their body as anti-vaxxer, that is a personal attack, and that is bullying. Stop it. That is unacceptable for an American. If you want the shot, take it, and then you are safe. You are good to go. And anyone out there doesn't get the vaccination is no threat or danger to you because you got the vaccination. You're protected. So let's not be so selfish here. So for the families and for those that want to get the vaccination, you should have every right to get it. And for those that don't want to, because the idea that every person's going to respond the same way to injections is scientifically unfound. There's no basis for that. In fact, some bodies, some people obviously react differently, since we all have a unique, distinct genetic composition and a distinct and unique situation physiologically, biologically. We don't react all the same. And there are factual cases. There's, I think, even I think it's the CDC manages at one site. There's about 1,000 deaths linked directly to the vaccinations. And if that's you or one of your loved ones, don't you think you'd want to have a say over this? So let's be reasonable. If you are okay with it, and most people are, that's fine. get your vaccination, and anyone who does not have the vaccination is not a danger to you. And anyway, as we see factually, scientifically, using the CDC and our own state Secretary of Health numbers, you have a 99+% chance of recovery from COVID. And with any virus or any flu or with any COVID, some people, because of their distinct, unique physiological system, some will have a severe reaction to that, the 0.6%, and may pass away from it tragically. And, because so less than 1%, that had COVID across the nation have had a severe reaction to that and have died or had a physical setback. And there's loved ones in our own family that have had it survive, but it's left left a mark on them. That's a metaphor. It's been a very bad setback for them physically. So it is with the vaccinations. Less than 1% of the entire population will have a reaction to it, and some of them, be catastrophic. We've seen the videos out there. We saw the report of the 39-year-old mom out in Utah, and on and on. And she was, very happy to get it working, in a doctor's office, a plastic surgeon's office. But anyway, it just that we have to have this debate. I had someone, who was, so-called friend on my Facebook. You have 5,000 you're allowed to have on your private pages of friends. I've been maxed out for months. To write on my page all this, anti-vaxxer stuff, just ridiculous, foolish nonsense. No, it's not. That you think it's okay for a government entity that's been proven wrong, that has been inconsistent, that has contradicted itself, that has moved goalposts all year long. Just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Just this will be it. This will be the panacea. And then, the curve was flattened, and there was another reason to drag it out. And here we are now in the 13th month. That you would trust any person with these personal, potentially life-altering decisions I don't understand why you would. The facts should be presented out there, and then of course you should have the final say, and that there would be coercion, intimidation, and threat. If you don't abide by these edicts and commands from government entities, even if the famed and much worshipped Fauci himself, has contradicted himself over and over. I posted that one video, had like 250,000 views on it, of, on again and off again about masks. No mask, yes, no, now too. It's like, okay. Anyway. And Carly says that why vaccinate with those survival rates? That's the question. And that's the question I'm just asking people to think about this logically. And so these are decisions you're going to have to make now. So the legislation, well, I think if our Medical Freedom Act gets passed, and I can't guarantee it will, because I don't think I have the votes to get it. But if it get passed, I don't know. We're working in a language for private businesses, private companies. That's altogether a different issue. And so whatever decision you make is going to have to be your own decision, and you'll have to deal with the consequences. And if your job, which the private business, that they mandate that, they're going to fire people who don't. Tanya, I mean, that's going to be a decision you're going to have to make. So it's all about personal responsibility. So I would say, have a conversation with your boss, and if he or she is not amenable to medical freedom, you might have to look for something else. But these are decisions, and that's not an easy thing, and I get it. So Maureen wants to know, how do we get involved with the Medical Freedom Act? So the memo has gone out to all the senators saying, hey, I plan to introduce this legislation. The formal language will be published hopefully within a week. And then at that point, it's just like any piece of legislation. If you believe in it, contact your senator and your House member, your representative, and ask them to co-sponsor it. Maureen says she had a terrible autoimmune diagnosis and is in remission. So that's that. Okay. So, question is, when is it going up for votes? So it's still in the administrative process. I don't know. Oh, this is horrible. Employees firing people who refuse to get the vaccine should be against the law. I agree. And so that's why the language we think it might be adequate enough, but obviously there'll be a court challenge, and we'll see how the courts interpret it. So on our end here, I'm a lawmaker, one of 50 in the Senate. We're trying to put laws out there that protects your rights and freedoms. It's very aggravating and frustrating. And so, as once again, if your company, so that's the thing, private businesses can require masks. So, say I owned a business and, I thought it was a good idea. I can mandate, and then your recourse, there's protections out there. They have to, the business should be able to provide, online or delivery to your car kind of thing, or you just shop elsewhere. So as far as this sort of law protecting you in a private business, I am not sure it's going to do it for you. And because we tried all we could, and it's tough. It's really tough. So once again, any decision you make is going to have to be a personal decision, and you'll have to live with the consequences. And so that's how it is supposed to be in a free, country. But that's that. So I'm going to saddle up here that this has been a pretty heavy conversation. Constitutional amendments up for vote on 18 May, and then medical freedom. Janine says that very decision, as well as mask wearing, should be up to the individual. Yes. Yes, exactly. That's what it's all about. A year ago, I did introduce legislation using both CDC and OSHA guidelines to say, here's what the scientists and experts postulate will protect you from the spread of COVID. Now go out there and run your business and live your lives as you see fit, knowing these things are out there, and knowing these are just measures you can take personally to protect yourself. But instead, we had heavy-handed rules and laws and edicts, not laws, heavy-handed edicts. There was no law behind all this other than the emergency powers, which led, of course, to the decision to this constitutional amendment where you could take the power back. It's always a good thing when the power is in the hands of the people, right? It was interesting listening to the contrarian point of view on this that was against these passing to the floor. Basically, thought it was a bad idea for you to decide. Huh? The people of the government, of, by, and for the government. So thanks, friends, for tuning in. I hope everyone's going to do well out there. Stay strong, stay blessed, and stay encouraged. And thanks for all your encouragement out there. Good to see you guys. Have a great night.